Dang, bro. Eureka! Gravity! It's in the middle. No. Man. What the? What? I can't find my way to. Oh! Yay! New churches! Yay!
Catholic Reformation. In response to the Protestant Reformation, the Catholic Church underwent reforms to improve the Roman Catholic Church. Council of Trent. Assembly of high-ranking church officials addressing matters of doctrine and theology and established schools and seminaries to prepare priests. Society of Jesus sought to spread the boundaries of Reformed Catholic Church and sent missionaries to different countries.
Anglican Church. King Henry VII was excommunicated from the Catholic Church due to his divorce from Catherine of Aragon and established the Anglican Church. Papal authority was abolished in England, making the king the supreme head of the Church of England.
She's a witch! Oh, I've seen her make witchcraft! She's affected everyone in this village right here!
30 Years' War. Caused because of Holy Roman Empire tried to force Bohemian subjects to return to Catholicism, leading to death, less livestock, less homes, and disease. Ended with Treaty of Westphalia, which establishes each state as independent and can practice whatever religion they want.
Europe after Reformation. No empires in West Europe after end of Carolingian Empire. France, Ottoman, and Turkish forces stopped Charles V, which was the Holy Roman Emperor, from gaining more territory in 1556. New monarchs were Henry VIII, England, Louis XI, and Francis I from France, Fernando and Isabel from Spain. Spanish Inquisition. Fernando and Isabel founded Spanish Inquisition, which sought out whoever secretly practiced Islam or Judaism, which sentenced hundreds to death approved by the Pope. Absolutism. Believes that kings received their power from God, relying on support from other nobles. Example, France and Russia. Constitutional states. Includes representative assemblies and gives rights to the people. Example, England and Netherlands. Columbian exchange effects. American food crops increased European population and decreased the ferocity of diseases due to improved diet. Rapid urbanization followed soon after, with more people moving to the cities, stimulating European economy, leading to capitalism, joint stock companies, supply and demand chains, and the putting out system. Serfdom. Tsarist Russia included serfdom, which categorized people for service, social status, and tax purposes. Serfdom bound people to the land and mainly benefited Western Europe for exports.
Yaptırdım, kıza kendimi kaptırdım. Aşkım çok pardon, ben düştüm balkondan. Benden çok iyi popon, ben vurdum ben de bom. Tofaş Doğan SLX, esmeri çok severiz. Hayır, bir yanlışlık var. Sarılara biteriz. Label C522 var. Baba harbi çok kibar. Bana laf at siklemem. Atarlarsa tam bir mal.
The main idea was that the Atlantic world underwent a radical political transformation as Enlightenment ideals of freedom, equality, and popular sovereignty challenged monarchical rule and sparked a series of revolutions. These upheavals led to the collapse of old colonial empires and the birth of independent nation-states defined by shared cultural and political identities.
The Road to the American Revolution, 1754 to 1763. Initial identity. In the mid-1700s, colonists viewed themselves as loyal British subjects, sharing trade, language, and law. The turning point. The 7 Years' War, French and Indian War, secured British dominance in North America. The cost of victory. The war left Britain with massive debts, leading the government to believe that the colonies should pay their fair share for protection. Tighten control and taxation. New taxes. Parliament passed several acts to generate more revenue, such as the Sugar Act of 1764 and the Stamp Act of 1765. Then they also passed the Townshend Act of 1767 and the Tea Act of 1773. Then they also passed the Courting Act of 1765, which forced the colonists to house and feed the British soldiers. End of autonomy. These laws replaced lax enforcement with strict British oversight, threatening the local legislative control colonists had enjoyed for decades. The Boston Massacre, March 5th, 1770. The event. A confrontation between a taunting colonial mob and British soldiers that ended in the soldiers firing into the crowd, which led to 5 colonists' deaths. The propaganda. Paul Revere's famous engraving portrayed the event as a cold-blooded slaughter to stir up the anti-British outrage. The outcome. The event became a symbol of the British tyranny and helped unify the colonies against the presence of a standing British army. The Boston Tea Party, December 16, 1773. The cost. The Tea Act of 1773 granted the British East India Company a monopoly and enforced taxes without colonial consent. The action. Members of the Sons of Liberty, some disguised as Mohawk Indians, boarded 3 ships and dumped 342 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. The principle. The protest was fueled by rallying the cry of no taxation without representation. Winning independence, 1777 to 1787. Strategic edge. The colonies utilized home field advantages, George Washington's leadership, and guerrilla tactics to exhaust the British forces. The French alliance. After the victory at Saratoga, 1777, France provided the critical money, troops, and naval power needed to win. Yorktown, 1781. The final major battle where combined French and American forces forced a total British surrender. Independence. The Peace of Paris, 1783 recognized the U.S. as a nation, leading to the Constitution, 1787, based on Enlightenment principles. The Declaration of Independence, 1776. The purpose, formally adopted on July 4th, 1776, it announced the 13 colonies' separation from British rule and listed grievances against King George III. Enlightenment ideas. Primarily authored by Thomas Jefferson, the document drew on John Locke's ideas of natural rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Core principles. It asserted that government derives its power from consent of the governed and that people have the right to overthrow a tyrannical government. Global impact. Beyond securing American independence, it served as the blueprint for future democratic movements and revolutions worldwide.
Why it happened. The spread of Enlightenment thought provided a new intellectual toolkit for questioning traditional authority, while the financial strain of global conflicts like the 7 Years' War forced empires to levy heavy taxes on their colonies and citizens. These economic pressures, combined with the growing desire for political representation among the middle classes, created a volatile environment ready for rebellion.
The Reign of Terror was a violent period during the French Revolution when thousands of people were arrested and executed by the revolutionary government led by Robespierre. The Reign of Terror began because France was facing war, fear of invasion, civil unrest, and suspicion of enemies inside the country. The revolutionary government used extreme violence to protect the revolution.
Marie Antoinette was Queen of France as the wife of Louis XVI from May 10, 1774 until the abolition of the monarchy in 1792. She was beheaded during the Reign of Terror, a period of political violence in the French Revolution. Marie Antoinette is most famously, though likely falsely, attributed with the callous remark, "Let them eat cake." Guise mangeant de la brioche. Upon hearing the poor had no bread.
The end of the French Revolution. The Directory. A new five-man government took over, but it was often weak and struggled to fix France's economic and military problems. Napoleon's coup. In 1799, the popular general Napoleon Bonaparte overthrew the government and took power, declaring himself the leader. Final result. The revolution ended the absolute monarchy and spread ideas of equality, even as France transitioned into Napoleon's military empire.
Planters worked enslaved people under terrible conditions, however slaves did outnumber the plantation owners. By May 1979, civil war broke out in Saint-Domingue between white settlers and people of color. In August, 12,000 enslaved peoples began a campaign of killing white settlers and causing other damages and harm to them. Slave forces were successful due to the leadership of Toussaint Louverture, who led an army of 20,000 and controlled most of Saint-Domingue by 1797. In 1801, he established a constitution that gave equality and citizenship to all residents in Saint-Domingue. Toussaint later died in jail under Napoleon, and the generals who replaced him in Saint-Domingue declared independence from France, establishing Haiti. Weakened royal authority in Mexico led to revolts. Miguel Hidalgo rallied indigenous peoples and mestizos against colonial rule, although he was later executed by elite Creoles. Agustín de Iturbide declared independence from Spain and established himself as Emperor of Mexico, and was later deposed by Creoles and established a republic. The southern regions of the Mexican Empire declared independence and formed the Central American Federation until 1838, when they split into Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. Simón Bolívar led the independence movement in South America and fought against Spanish rule in 1811. He defeated the Spanish army in 1819 and by 1825 removed all Spanish rulers from South America. His goal was to create Gran Colombia, a federation with former Spanish colonies Venezuela, Colombia, and Ecuador. But political and regional differences broke Gran Colombia up, turning them into independent states. The Portuguese government fled Portugal in 1807 and established a government in exile in Rio de Janeiro. 1822, Brazilian Creoles called for independence from Portugal, and Pedro, son of the King of Portugal, was left as regent. When Creoles tried to reduce his power, he declared Brazil's independence and became Emperor Pedro I.
And rights, ideologies, conservatism. These leaders wanted to keep traditional monarchies and avoid the chaos of revolutions. They wanted stability. Liberalism. These people wanted change. They pushed for written constitutions, freedom of speech, and the right for more people to vote. Women's rights. Figures like Mary Wollstonecraft and Elizabeth Cady argued that Enlightenment rights for all should include women pushing for education and the right to vote. Ending slavery. Revolution ideals helped fuel the movement to end the slave trade and abolish slavery across the Atlantic world. The rise of nationalism. What is a nation? A group of people who share a common language, customs, and history. Cultural nationalism. Scholars like the Brothers Grimm collected folk tales to show the unique spirit of their people. Political nationalism. Leaders like Giuseppe Mazzini pushed for independent countries where people could rule themselves. Zionism. Theodor Herzl started this movement to find a safe homeland for Jewish people to escape rising anti-Semitism in Europe. New countries' unification. Italy's unification, Cavour used clever diplomacy and alliances. Garibaldi was the soldier who led an army, the Red Shirts, to conquer the south and bring it together. Germany's unification. Otto von Bismarck was the leader of Prussia. He famously used a policy of blood and iron, war and industrial power to unite Germany under one emperor in 1871. The result. These new powerful countries completely changed the balance of powers in Europe.
Enlightenment philosophies fueled a wave of Atlantic revolutions that dismantled absolute monarchies and colonial rule, ultimately replacing them with national states built on the concept of popular sovereignty and individual rights.